Hello and welcome back to Grim Survival, my fellow gremlins. Today I'm going to be going over a quick tutorial on how to use your Baofeng UV5R, this one. I'm just going to go over the basics. Now keep in mind, I'm just going to make sure you know how to operate it and program a couple of frequencies, to go over a couple of the things in the menu, what it does. Just a couple, because there are a lot more advanced tutorials that can be done by this. You can also read the manual and pretty much get everything you need. There's also about 1 million videos online on how this thing operates, so I'm just going to do a pretty quick tutorial on the basics. Okay, later, not in this video, but later, I will go over more about radio communication with ham radios such as this one, with portable CB radios such as this one, and with scanners such as this one. And I will also go over base station style CBs, because I have one of those also, 2 of them actually. But anyway, going into this first. Operation, fairly simple. This is your, okay, let's do this closer. This is your on and off switch and your power control or volume control. On and off, volume control. So turn it on, turn it off, volume control. I don't have my extended battery in there currently. Batteries are not in the thing right now because I'm going to be charging them. So I think I already am charging them, but that's not the point. Yours will look just like this with a different antenna on it if you've just gotten it. This is an extra antenna to give it a little better range. Typically, I believe these are 5-watt radios, and that's very low powered. So your range on these things are very limited to anything within, I think, 1 mile to 3 miles, depending on line of sight. Now, these are line of sight radios, so if there is a large structure between you and who you're talking to, there's a good chance it might not work. But that's not always the case, because if somebody has a really high powered radio, or usually if it's a high-powered radio, you will be able to hear them. Now, you probably wouldn't be able to talk to them. But going into that really quick before we go into the operation, these are legal to own without a license. These are legal to turn on and listen to any frequency without a license. There are certain frequencies where you can hit the push-to-talk button and say hi. And those frequencies you can find online. Those are your two-way radio frequencies. Those are open for public use. Two-way radio frequencies such as walkie-talkies and things similar to walkie-talkies you can usually find at, you know, whatever store, Walmart, Amazon, whatever you shop at. Okay, use. The first thing you're going to have to do when you get this thing is set it to English, because they usually come in, they usually start up in Chinese. I think it is Chinese. Now, how you do this is you turn it on, push the menu button. Yeah, let me just put it on a frequency that's not talking, because that's annoying. Okay, there we go. So this is on a frequency that's not talking, so we don't have to listen to it. You're going to push the menu button. It's right here. It's easy to find. The first thing you're going to see is Squelch. You can control the menu by pushing the up and down arrows. There are 40 menu options. If you push down, you will see option 40. You'll see the number 40 blinking here. Reset all. If you want to reset all, you'll hit the menu button and reset all. Yeah, you might need to do that when you first get the radio. It is recommended to do so when you first get the radio, just to make sure anything from the factory isn't programmed into it. But anyway, next thing we're going to do is set it to English, and I believe it is option 14. I believe. I'm trying to find my notes here. Oh, there. Yeah, option 14 is going to be your language. So how you're going to do this is you can hit your menu button and you can press up and down, or you can press the menu button and just press 1, 4, and it goes to option 14. Now you see mine's already on English, but if you press menu again, you can cycle it through whatever languages are in there, or you can turn the voice off completely. Now when you see ENG, press menu again, and that's confirming that it's in English. That's the first step. First step, making sure it's speaking your language. After you do that, we'll go over the buttons here just quickly. Starting with the obvious, push to talk. This is your transmit button. You hold this down. I'm turning it off, so I'm not actually transmitting. There we go, off. You push it down, you talk into it. Hi, how's it going? The next button you see is bright and orange. I'm going to turn the volume really down before I do this. If you press the orange button on the side, which is labeled call, press it one time and it puts it in FM mode. And you can cycle through FM radio stations by pressing up and down, and yeah, it's playing music because that's an actual frequent or channel. So that's an FM frequency for 103.3. If you are, using regular radio references, 103.3, you will see at the end of it, it has 103.300. That just means it's on 103.3 and not 103.2, because frequencies, they go in quarters or even lower, I believe. But yeah, so if as long as it's on 00, it's on 103.3 for the radio station, and this goes for regular frequencies also. If you hold that button down, it's going into alarm mode. And alarm mode, look up what it does. I'm not sure if it's actually broadcasting an alarm. I don't think it is, but make sure, because I don't remember if it is or not. Alright, push to talk, obviously push to talk. The bottom, oh, here we are. The bottom button, press it once, the light comes on. Press it again, it strobes. That's basically all it does. You can hold it down, and it's the bypass button if you're holding it down. Now bypasses the squelch and just turns on the frequency that it's set to, so you're listening to an open frequency. You have to hold it down to do that. And as you can hear, most frequencies are static when you're doing that, unless somebody's actually transmitting something on it. So that's the basic operation of the side buttons. The front buttons here, you're going to have channel mode or memory mode. You press that button, it goes into channel mode. Those are going to be your saved channels, your saved frequencies. That's basically anything you've programmed into it. You push it again, you're back in frequency mode. And frequency mode is just every frequency. When you're in there, you can push up and down, and it cycles through the frequencies just like your FM radio would do in a, if you have an older one with buttons on it. You just hit the button, it cycles through one at a time. That's it, just one at a time. All right, AB. The AB button swaps it from the top line to the bottom line, like so. Now, what that'll allow you to do is, say have somebody you want to talk to, and you are using it for whatever reason, you have who you're talking to in the first line. The second line, you could have your weather station or another person or whatever else. So you have the option to swap back and forth between the two of them. The band button changes it from VHF to UHF and so forth. As you can see, it jumps the frequencies to the higher range and then back again. Typically, most frequencies you're going to be using are on the lower range, and this is going to include your EMS, fire, and things like that. And I will post links in the description for radio reference. I believe it's .com, and you can use that to look up frequencies in your local area. I'm not giving an overview of how that works, because just follow the instructions on the screen. It'll work really well that way. And yeah, it just does. There's a couple other options here. Yeah, I'll turn the light back on. Down here, it looks like a star. That's your scan button. Hold it down, and it starts scanning all the frequencies. When it picks something up, whether that be static or someone talking, it will stop there, and you can press the exit button or the scan button again, and it'll freeze the frequency right on whichever one that it stopped on. And that way you're basically turning off the scan mode there. The other option down here is the lock button. You can lock it so you don't accidentally change the frequency when you have it maybe in a pocket or in a backpack or whatever. So the lock button, which is on this side, has the number sign on there. I don't know if you can see it very well on my screen, but yeah, that's what it does. You'll see up here next to the battery, when it's locked, there's a little key emblem, and that lets you know it's locked. Alright, moving on. I think we've gotten all the buttons. Obviously, the menu button goes into the menu. There's the menu. You hit the menu button again, and you go into your options. Option 1 in the menu is Squelch. Squelch basically times out. It's hard to explain Squelch because I didn't bother to look up the actual definition, but I know what it does. Basically, if you're hearing a lot of static on a channel, you can turn the squelch up and it'll take away the static, because somebody needs to have a higher powered frequency for it to actually pick up. So that's the essential of what it does. When somebody's talking, it'll override the squelch because it's a higher powered frequency and it knows that something's talking. So I keep the squelch at 1. Number 1. You can set it wherever you want it, but personally, number 1. Now on a CB radio, that'll be a lot different, because CB radios, the squelch is quite useful and quite annoying not to have it, especially if you're on an interstate highway. But that's a video for another time. Alright, let's go over menu options real quick. Menu 1 obviously is squelch. We can press the up arrow, go to step. Now what step is as you see, it's set for 2.5K, and what that does is every time you're in frequency mode and you press the up or down arrow, it jumps the frequency up by 2.5. Yeah, you'll see it back over here. It's going by 2.5. And yeah, we went to 147.375. Now we're at 377.5, and you can see the little 5 number right there. That means you're at, I don't know if it's actually a point, but that means you're halfway between the frequencies typically. Well, basically is what that means. Alright, more menu options. Let's see, step was number 2. TXP is your transmit power. Now that's if you're broadcasting on there, you can set it to high, but if you're not broadcasting on there, keeping it on low is just fine. That's really for how far you can transmit. Now I don't typically use this for transmitting. Every now and then I run a test with two-way radio frequencies just to make sure my radios are working. It's a good thing to have. Now this type of radio, you can pick it up with a scanner. You cannot pick it up with a CB. This does not go into CB frequency ranges, unfortunately. There are radios that are handheld that do. They are 3-band, I believe, radios, and they are expensive. I'd love to have one. I don't have one. But yeah, I would like to. You can look those up on Google, things like that. Alright, we were at transmit power. Let's go up, save. Save is your battery saver option, basically. It stays at 3. It's default at 3. I leave it at 3. It's your battery saver. It times out your screens and, shuts the thing off after a certain amount of no use, things like that. Yeah, menu. There we go. Menu. Vox is voice operation, voice control. Basically, you can speak into the thing, like, if you're talking to your phone. A lot of things do that, Siri and other things. And that's for if you have a headset. This is a headset jack. You can plug a headset in there, and the headset is a speaker and a microphone, and it has a wire running to it. So therefore, you can leave this in a radio pouch on a backpack. Make sure your antenna is exposed, and then you could have the radio attached to a vest or a backpack strap or whatever. The radio, the headset usually has a little clip on it, and it clips the thing, so you could clip it to your shirt also. You see police radios are similar. They have those little things they talk into. That's basically what we're talking about here. It's a little handheld handset, really, is what it is. So that's what Vox is for. Moving on, there's a lot of other things in here I'm just not going to bother with. WN is wide and narrow band. ABR is backlight timer, how long this light stays on when you press the button. Right now it's on 5. You've seen it just went off. But if you want it back on, if you're in the dark, you can simply push the exit button and it'll turn the light back on. Any other button also will turn the light back on. So you can just press whatever and the light will come on. But if you're pressing up arrow or down arrow, it's also changing your frequencies. So I recommend the exit button. There is options in here to turn off voice, as we've seen already. It's in the option 14. That's your language option. There's also options to turn off the beeping sounds it makes when you touch the buttons. That's highly recommended in a survival or SHTF type of situation where you're trying to be quiet. You don't want to be changing a frequency and hearing that. That's annoying. That would be bad. It'd give away your position. So I highly recommend doing that if you're in a survival or emergency situation, SHTF type of situation. Those would be my recommendations for that. Going into the menu again, I gotta remember exactly where it was, and I don't. So I'm going to make you suffer through the beeping. Memory channel 27, this is how we're going to program frequencies into this radio. And this is menu option 27 and menu option 28. 28 is delete a channel from your memory, so keep that in mind. There we go. Menu option 29 changes the backlight color. You can change it from, I believe the default is purple. You can turn it off. You just put it on whatever color you want, press menu again, it changes it. You can change it back to whatever, and yeah, so there we go. Now it's supposed to be blue, but it still says purple for some reason. It's not changing. I don't know why it's not changing. It's not a perfect thing, but anyway, it was working earlier, now it won't change. That's driving me nuts. There we go. I made it blue again. That was bothering me. All right, we went over the FM radio already. Let's see, step, transmit power, battery saver, backlight timer. All right, let's get into programming it. Now, there's two options for programming this radio. Option one is going to be out of the box. We'll program it just with the handset itself. My recommendation, I recommend more higher quality technology. So this thing has how they pronounce it, Baofeng or Baofeng, some people pronounce it, whatever, doesn't make a difference. You can buy this wire and you can download the software. The wire plugs right into here one way or another. Yeah, it only goes one way. So you plug the wire into the side of this thing, and you can plug this is USB, into a computer, plug it into a laptop, a desktop, whatever you're using. You can plug it in, and you can program the frequencies that way with the software. There's two different softwares that people use. One is the software from the company. The other one is called Chirp. I use Chirp. It's easier. So keep that in mind. It's free software. You download it, but the wire obviously is not free, so you do have to purchase the wire. I do not remember how much it costs. I will try to remember to put a link to this in the description because I highly recommend it. It makes things a lot easier. Now, when you're programming it, frequency mode, you're going to be going into channel mode. I don't think you have to actually go into channel mode to program it. You can just type in whatever frequency you're using here. Now, obviously, the frequencies you're seeing on here, we can scroll up and down, but we can also just type the frequency directly in. As long as you're in frequency mode, you can type in whatever frequency you want. I'm not going to bother with it because you understand how numbers work. I just assume if you don't understand how numbers work, then I'm not helping you very much already. Right. All right. So yeah, you just type in right now where I'm at 147,380. It's just a random frequency. There's nothing broadcasting on it, and that's why I'm on there. So if I wanted to just punch that in, I just push 147,350. I changed it to 350. So that's all I did. I just typed it in, and it's now on that other frequency. So if you're looking up frequencies online, you type that in. Now, how we're going to save that is, it's been a while since I've done this because I typically use the software. You have the frequency on there. You're going to go to menu, option 27. There we go. 27. Memory channel. You're going to hit menu, select the memory channel, and then you pick up to, how many? 127 different memory channels right there. I set it to 127 because I know I'm not using that. Receiving memory. It's receiving memory. I hit menu again, and it saves the frequency to the menu. So just to walk you through that really quickly in probably a better way. Whatever frequency you have here on top is what is going to be saved. You press menu, you go to option 27, you select which memory channel you want it to, between 1 and 127. You press menu again, and it saves that top frequency into the memory of the device. You get back to these frequencies by pressing channel mode. Frequency mode. There we go. Channel mode. And then use the arrow keys, and you'll see the channel that is saved over here, right there. We're at 127. The first few on mine, from 0 to, I don't remember, I think it's 6, I think there's 7 of them, are all the weather channels. I have all of them programmed into here because I used to go all over the country and I needed all of them. So I don't remember exactly which one is local. 6, 7. That one. mostly cloudy. So obviously there's more than 7, because that was, I think, the 8th from 0 to 7. That's 8 at least. Maybe there's 10 of them. I don't remember exactly. You can find all the weather NOAA weather radio frequencies online as well. You just type in NOAA weather frequencies and you type that into Google. It'll give you all the frequencies. I highly recommend you write these things down, because in the event that you reset this or it gets reset, technology is not very reliable, especially in cheap technology, and you can pick this up for like $20. So I highly recommend you write down all your frequencies on paper. Highly recommend. It's required of you. That's what I'm going to say. It's required. It's required of me, because at some point something's going to happen. I might end up dropping it, and I don't know, the battery comes out, something comes loose, loses its memory, maybe an EMP hits. Who knows? Who knows why it would reset it? Maybe it's just faulty. Who knows? Write down your frequencies. Write them down. You can find all the frequencies for your local areas at radioreference.com. Link is going to be in the description. And yeah, I will include yet again the link for the radio, the link for the antenna I use, and I'm not going to include the link for this battery. There is another battery that is an extended battery. It looks very similar to this, except for it doesn't hold the double A's like this one does. It's a lithium ion battery with a USB charge port on the side of it, and I am going to upgrade to that myself. I am. As soon as I absolutely can, I'm going to replace this and use this as an emergency backup and get the USB one, because I like that better. I really do. So basically, that is my overview or small tutorial. You can obviously go through all 40 menu options. You can look in the menu. You can find other videos that are going to tell you what all 40 of these options do. Now obviously option 40 is reset all. Recommend you do that when you get the radio. Reset all. Go to option 14, set what language you are, but just read what all of these do, because I don't know exactly what all of them do. I know what quite a few of them do, but not all of them. Yeah, maybe one day if I sit down and study with it more. I really highly recommend the USB software. It's going to make it a lot easier. I have been told that you cannot program a channel. Now this might be older software, because I was reading up on it from older software, but I was told you cannot save a channel to your memory that is broadcasting like this. So I'm going to tell you a quick way how to bypass that if you need to. And the quickest way to bypass that is remove your antenna, unscrew it, because that's all it does. It unscrews. You take it off there. Then you're going to go into menu option 1, because you can see even without the antenna, I'm still picking up weather radio. So go into your menu, option 1, go into your squelch, turn it all the way up, and hopefully that works. Nope. Yeah. Nope, it still didn't work. So I'm close enough to a radio tower that it's still picking up with my squelch maxed out and my antenna off. There's other ways to do it. There's other ways to get the frequency to stop broadcasting so you can save it in. Now, you can do this many different ways. You could wrap tinfoil around it. You can block frequencies pretty easily. So just look up the best way to do it for you, depending on how powerful the signal is near you. Depending. That might not be the case anymore, because I know these things have had firmware updates not that long ago, and assuming you have a newer model or a newer version of the same model that I have, you might not have that problem. Might not, but if you do have that problem, turn that squelch all the way up, take the antenna off, and then go into an interior room, maybe put some foil around it, do whatever you have to do to make that frequency shut up long enough to program it. Alternatively, you don't have that problem if you're using the wire and the software, so that's yet another reason. The other thing you cannot do with this is, in the channel mode, you can put an actual name on all of your channels. So if you have weather 1 through whatever, you can type weather 1 through whatever, and that will save the name in here. But you cannot do that without the software. You can't program names in here with just this. It doesn't have, well, yeah, it doesn't have it. Like a an old style cell phone or telephone where it had all the letters here and you used to text like this by pressing the same button 6 times to get the one letter, yeah, I'm exaggerating. But anyway, this doesn't have that. All of these are menu options on these numbers. So you, if you want to save a name for frequencies, you have to have the software. You really do. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think I got it all now. That's the basics of how this thing works. Just the basics. I really like the fact that it has an FM radio option, because you can get a lot of information by just pressing that button. Get on there. Oh. Yeah, you have to have it on channel mode, or yeah, whatever mode that is. You got to press the orange button and make sure it's not on channel mode. Then you press it and it goes to FM, which I'm going to turn it down before I get hit with a copyright. But yeah, that's really helpful. Really helpful. So this is basically all you need. You're not going to get AM frequencies, but who uses that anyway? And in the emergency situation, it's going to be broadcast over FM, or it's going to be broadcast over the NOAA radio frequencies, because they do have emergency broadcasts come over those. You can additionally look up frequencies for your local EMS, your local fire department, your local, you can find frequencies for police stations, but they don't use radios like this anymore. They use digital radios that are encrypted. So you're not going to get that information. But anyway, I will post the links for the radio reference in the description, so you can look up radio frequencies in your area. Remember, you can also look up the two-way radio frequencies and actually use this with those frequencies only. You do need a license to pretty much use any other frequency on here. Keep that in mind. Alright, this has been James with Grim Survival. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the support, especially those of you yesterday morning that were donating to my PayPal. I greatly appreciate that. And I will see you next time.